Welcome to our much appreciated agents and investors. Today is Thursday, October 2nd, 2025, and this is All The Leads Mastermind podcast number 548. Tim, what would you like to open with today, sir?
Can't believe that it's already 548. It sounds
Yep.
like, everybody. I was watching one of the TV shows last night, and they put on a montage of all of the newscasters all over the United States, and everybody opened up the morning news yesterday by saying, "I can't believe it's already October. I can't believe it's already October." Well, let's see. So I can't believe it's already 548 and it's October. Um, don't really have anything prepared particularly today. We were going to be talking today about um, some packages we're putting together for holiday communication. And we had sort of prepared to do that. And we looked at it yesterday afternoon and said, there's more that we can do here to make this be more of a standout product. So we kind of went back to the drawing board a little bit, and we frankly just didn't have time to get it completed today. We worked on it this morning, was talking with our marketing folks, and we will have it ready next time. So we will present that to you next week, but we've got a good program we're putting together to kind of help you do some communications for Halloween, Thanksgiving, the Christmas holidays, and New Year's, and other holidays in between all of that. A long time ago, um, we were doing some work with, I think it was Keller Williams at that point, and we talked about, I think Gary Keller had a program called 33 Touch, that it was a speech that he gave about, reaching out and touching every customer 33 times, and that'll lead to a sale. And so we actually put a program together, and I have the document that we did called 33 Touch. And it was a marketing program that we were going to go do that. And like many such programs, we make a lot of things and don't always roll them out. So we went back and revisited that a little bit, and think we may implement that now. We've got some cool ways to do some of it, and our print and marketing ability has changed pretty dramatically since we started that program. So just be prepared that next week, come with an excitement in your thoughts, because we're going to show you some pretty cool stuff.
And
Um,
Tim, that was probably a good 5 years ago that we worked on that. And I would guess there's a lot of touches now that didn't exist 5 years ago
that's
on
correct.
it.
That's
Yeah,
absolutely right.
yeah.
That's true. And I think, when we did it, I remember taking the time to do it because I'd written it all up and we made a brochure for it and everything else. And I remember thinking at the time, you know, in another year, this will probably be obsolete. And it took a little bit longer, but AI just kicked all that stuff kind of into high gear. And there's so many cool things that we can do now, and there's so much new tech. So yeah, you're right about that. Um, I think I want to revisit right now what we talked about sort of last week, and talk a little bit about it with Matt. And he's had some great results this week working with our folks. What we did last week, if you were with us, we talked about a program called Refresh, and basically it's to take your older leads, go through them, and see, let us come back to you and say, these are the ones that are still viable, meaning that the property that was in the probate at that point, we're only doing it on probate right now. We may expand it to divorce, but a property that was in probate, titled in the name of the decedent, is still titled in the name of the decedent. Nothing's happened to it, and it's been X amount of months since that happened. And we go back in and literally run your leads and pull that data back and give it back to you. So um, that's kind of the sort of the gist of the program. And Matt, if you'll unmute yourself there, let me poke at it. There we go. Um, we will. I want to talk a little bit about kind of the conversations that you've had with people, and where we're heading with that, because I think you took off on it as a pretty great opportunity to help. And what do you think, bud?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I think that these older leads, I mean, when you first get started, you've got a bunch of people that are, probate, I still feel like hasn't been fully discovered yet by the marketplace. It's not the expireds and FISBOs that every real estate agent's, kind of tripping over each other on. And so I feel like with probate, you still have a small faction. You got a group of investors. You got folks that maybe are reaching out to them for 30 days, 40 days. If they're coaching with Bruce and they're like extra high level, they got 60 to 90 days they're reaching out. But for the most part, people don't really reach out much after that. And so I think it's really just a huge opportunity to really get everybody in a place where we can start talking to these folks that are no longer being highly sought after by all these other competitors. So you're basically competing you versus you at this point. It's just how good can you do to stay in front of them? And once we get them on the phone, I mean, we've had really good results with just a couple clients that we just started just reaching back out to some of the older leads. It's been great so far. So I'm really excited to see that grow.
Well, that's super. Yeah, and some of you may be relatively new on the call. You may not completely know what Matt does and all of that. Matt operates appointments today. They are a dialing service and a customer contact service. Does a lot of very innovative approaches to making phone calls and getting in touch with people. Also using other technology to help along the way. And Matt's real innovative, and he's been a great person for us to work with as a referral partner with this. So we trust him to do the very best job that he can, and to also try and do it and fit within your budgets and structures. So we're excited about working with him. And I see Bill is here. I'd like to comment that Bill also is wearing the hat. He got the memo. Everybody's wearing baseball caps today. That's a good thing. Hi there, Bill. You doing all right, bud?
Yeah, I just have a new computer and it took me a little while to get it set up for Zoom. I still have to work on my background.
No problem. No problem. Stevie, you got your hand up there, buddy? What's up?
I do. I want to say I appreciate what Matt said. In fact, I talked to someone yesterday in regards to going back to his old leads. One of the challenges he's getting, and I'm not certain if Matt is seeing this as well. He's in his market in Connecticut. He's got challenges with just getting people to pick up the phone. But I reiterated much what Matt said is, look, the wholesalers and the cash buyers, and nothing against those guys and gals. They make money doing what they do. If they didn't, we wouldn't have them. But they've long since moved on from you because the transaction isn't there. And that's the difference, which is trained here in all the leads. I know Bruce also emphasizes it in probate mastery as well, is this is a transformational type relationship you're trying to establish. You're trying to get rapport, realizing that it's not going to happen the first few calls, which I think directly ties into what you said, Tim, about the 33 touches in terms of what you learn from Keller Williams. It is the long game. And the old leads, I know Jim has said that they age well. And I know when he said he was flipping houses, if he needed to go find something quickly, it was usually an old lead, and sometimes up to a year old, and he'd be able to turn it over. So he turns a lead into a conversion, and there he is. So I think all this ties in. I mean, it's great to get the upfront leads. I totally agree with Matt. I think folks who are calling the expireds and the FSBOs, everybody calls them. And no wonder people aren't picking up the phones when it comes to now. The FSBOs that's a head scratcher. I mean, if you're trying to sell your house, you'd think they would be picking up the phone because they want to get it sold. I've seen FSBOs on the do not call list, which on another source of leads I used to get, which used to really, I mean, it's a head scratcher. I'm thinking, aren't you trying to sell your house? I mean, other than having a sign planted in your front yard and somebody drives by, maybe they're on Facebook Marketplace. How would you know? I would think you would want to be open to those phone calls. So this is all really key. I think right now going into the latter quarter of the year, one of the lines that Chad Corbett used to say is, hey, do you want to get this done before or after the holidays? It's very appropriate. It just kind of sets that tone. And when you think about it, October is a pretty fast moving month. You get into November, December, things dry up. In fact, I was on an appointment the other day with a woman, and she's like, well, I don't know, the market, as we go into the wintertime. And I said, ma'am, people buy and sell houses every month out of the year. And it really comes down to, do you want to be in the market when there's all kinds of people in all kinds of houses? Or do you want to be in the market where there's not as many people, but not as many houses? And oh, by the way, this house needs work. They probably need to go cash buyer. It's not, I don't think a realtor would take this listing. Or I think if they came to show up to look at the listing and gave them a laundry list, it's diminishing returns. And they probably wouldn't want it. she's probably cash buyer, but she's got to make that decision. So that's my rant for the day. Thanks.
Steve, I was going to say a version of that line is people commonly will say, even if it's not the holidays, I will be ready to get going in a few months, or we'll be ready to put the house on the market in a few months, or after the holidays. A good response to that is, did you want to be getting started at that time, or did you actually want to be sold and closed at that time? People don't make that mental connection. They think as soon as they decide it's gonna be a good process. It's a good time to educate them on what the average time frame on the market is in your market. I know in South Florida it's taken 6 to 9 months, or some areas of the country where it's not taking that long. But anyway, that a version of the line that you said that I think works real well.
So what
I
about
appreciate you pointing that out, Jim, because Chad also made that distinction. Well, when do you want to start? When do you want to be done?
Right.
And here in my market, we asked a couple of weeks ago where things are. Look, there's a shortage of houses. Houses go quickly. All right. So I'm already working with some cash buyers to potentially come out and look, and I think it will go quickly.
Well, it's kind of the thing I was segueing to, which is another question that might be part of that conversation, which is, so what do you not want me to show your house to people that want to buy houses? Is that what we're not going to be able to do that? I work with buyers. Just basically put it back in their lap. Say, look, you want to sell your house. I got people that buy houses. What do you want to do here?
Right.
And you can, and if you got a list of buyers that are out there, and if you're doing your job as either an agent or an investor, you've got buyers. You have people that are in the market, and you can make that statement with confidence. And if you don't have buyers, go get some.
Right. And I made that point to her exactly, because I think she realizes MLS isn't where she wants to go, where she's leaning. Although she kind of thinks she's going to get comp value for a house that, respectfully, it needs work. It just does.
Well, everybody thinks that these days,
set in.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll set in.
Nobody thinks it's going to cost as much as it will to do what needs to be done until they have to go try to do it.
Right.
And that's part of the problem.
That it takes too,
yeah.
Tim, the time that it takes. I mean, and she even said to me, I asked her, I said, out of curiosity, what's the holding cost on this house? She was about $1,000 a month. Okay, well, how long do you want to go? Nobody's living here. You're still paying that money.
$3,000 goes a long way towards getting some of the stuff done to fix the curb appeal. So, those are all extremely good points. Bruce, go ahead, bud.
Yeah, I think we're in the position when we're having these conversations of helping our future clients self-discover what their pain point is, and then self-discover that there is a solution. So rather than, do you not want a buyer? I would probably say, hey, so you guys kind of planning on waiting, so they've expressed that they're going to wait through the holidays. Let's just take that example. Okay, perfect. If I had a buyer that was looking for a property like yours now, would you want me to hold off until next year, or should I bring it to you now? Yeah, I'd like you to bring it to me now. Maybe they say, I want to hold off, but at least now we know. So we've floated the idea of, if we had someone that was looking for a property like yours now, would we hold off, or would we wait till next year? And most of them are going to say, let's do it now. Let's bring an offer now. Is there any chance that maybe I could float it out to my buyer list? Sure. Could I swing by and see the house and kind of come up with a way of describing it for them? Yes. And now you're in an appointment. And now you're at that second level of helping them discover that maybe the holding costs and waiting is not right for them and their family. Maybe. We don't know that yet. But our job is kind of helping them self-discover this, because a lot of times they don't want to deal with the house until February or March next year, either because they've got a misconception that they're going to get more by waiting till next year, or they have a pile of other things on their plate that they're trying to deal with. And that's probably what it is. They've got a pile of other things and they're not thinking about the consequences of waiting. That's more than likely what's causing the delay with a lot of these folks. And the consequences of waiting are astronomical. Yeah.
Isn't it also true that in that circumstance, a little bit more probing, you also might find out that part of their issue is I can't move that quickly because, and
Sure.
maybe that's because my kids aren't through school in that semester, I got to get them through the semester and, all that. Well, there's a way to handle that, If somebody
Well,
buys it, you do it in such a way that, you structure the deal to close or even close sooner and you can stay, lease back. There's all kinds of ways
There
to
you
fix
go.
that.
So I agree with that. Most of the time, I can't move that quickly because it's the because is normally something that's totally irrelevant to selling the property if it needs to sell.
Sure,
The
sure.
because normally I'm still talking to my lawyer about my paperwork, which doesn't have anything to do with the house, because I've got I've got to start shopping for the holidays. Has nothing to do with selling the house. Most of the time, the because has absolutely nothing to do with the house need, especially when it's vacant. Especially when it's vacant. I deal with people
Oh,
all the
sure.
time who've inherited a vacant property and they wait a year. Why do they wait a year? They're dealing with other stuff. They're not aware of the pain that they're causing themselves down the road by paying an extra year of taxes, insurance, and mortgage. They're not thinking about it. And rather
See,
than
that's
say, "Hey, don't you know, dummy, that you're losing $40,000 this year in taxes, insurance, and mortgage," instead of saying that, they need to say that. So all we do is we ask questions until they go, "You know what, Bruce, I think I'm going to lose $40,000 this year. I didn't even realize that." So that's where we have to get really good at having conversations and asking questions and allowing them to discover it for themselves. Because the more we tell them, the more we sound like we're looking out for our best interest and not their best interest. But if we can ask questions, they'll discover that maybe their procrastination on this house issue or their procrastination on whatever other issue it is going to cause them more pain.
well, and you just did the absolute right way to do that, which is help them figure out what that carrying cost is, because they probably don't know what it is. They really don't.
Hmm.
They've been paying that insurance bill for however long they've been paying it. They're paying whatever they're paying, and it doesn't come to a big number in their head.
Yeah.
It's
And
it's
Tim,
just
you and I have had conversations before, okay? And I won't say you told me, so I'll just go ahead and say that I told you that I was going through my subscriptions that I wasn't using. So everybody listen to this. I told Tim that he didn't tell me that I was going through my subscriptions I wasn't using, and I realized how much those things were costing. Now, I legitimately have a gym membership right now. I've got two gym memberships, one that I haven't used. And that $40 every month doesn't really mean a whole lot in the month that it's there. But then I look at it and I go,
$480 a year.
oh my gosh, yeah, look at
right.
this. That I wouldn't have written a check for $480 for something that I wasn't going to use. It doesn't feel painful this month, but when I look back at it, it feels really painful. If you were to tell me at the time that I signed up for the gym membership, if you were to tell me, Bruce, you're not going to use this, I would have
All
said,
right.
screw you. You don't know what I'm going to do. Okay.
I am going to use it. I'm going to get thin and healthy
Yeah. Yeah. But looking
tomorrow.
back, you would have been trying to save me, but I'm going to fight because you're telling me.
Sure,
But I
sure.
tell myself now because I can see the waste. So we just need to help people tell themselves what's in their best interest.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. That's the key kind of deal. It's always better when it's their idea.
Hmm.
And I think that's your point, is that helping them come to that point. I think the whole point we're trying to make here is too often we take people's statement about I'm not ready and don't dig in and get the job done. If you get a don't if you get an I'm not ready and that's the end of the conversation, you're going to miss a lot of money. That's just the bottom line. I'm not ready. You better find out why, because somebody will come along and help them not be ready, and it won't be you if you don't do your job. And that's really the key element of the discussion, is that we're trying to arm you with interesting ways to come across and get that stuff done. And put yourself in that position. And I'll take Bruce's example really quickly and just give you a little anecdote. I went in because of what I do for a living. I oftentimes sign up for a program that starts off at, $9.95 a month. And, it's a trial program or it's a free trial, but, if you don't cancel it within the first 30 days, it converts to a membership. And every probably 2 or 3 months, Lindsay, who works for us, she goes through my my credit card statement for my company stuff and goes, what's this? What's this? What's this? And I'm like, well, let me look. It's stuff I'm not using. And last month, $212. $212 a month of stuff that I had let languish. And you don't want to know how long for some of it I was paying for it, because they changed names and some other stuff. One of them was a $79 a month do it for you program that I really was testing. And I mean, that's a crap ton of money. And I'll admit it happens to me, and it does happen also in home expenses. There are things that people aren't aware. How much are you paying the person who's dealing with your gutters every year? How much are you paying how much you paying the guy to come cut your grass? It's a whole bunch of those kinds of questions. Jimmy, what's up, bud?
Yeah, I was going to kind of take this full circle. We started off talking about refresh, and then we got into this discussion. And it occurs to me, as we have our clients start working the refresh and Matt starts calling them, it'd be really interesting to find out why those deals took as long as they did. And I suspect a lot of the reasons are avoidable. That if you realize they didn't file for full authority, well, now you can use that information on your current clients and say, I was just talking to somebody the other day, took them a year to get the property listed because they forgot to file for full authority. There's going to be a lot of things like that I think we're going to learn from working the refreshes. So just, keep your eyes open as you work them. And I would hope almost everybody would give it a shot. It's particularly efficient, refresh is, if you're working your leads as you go along. I mean, it's great if it still works if you don't, but if you eliminate them as you're going, we're only going to go back and refresh the ones that you have not yet disqualified. But so that's really the point. As you do it, just keep in mind and make a mental note of why they're taking so long, and be some good success stories to tell people in the future.
Well, yes, you're right. It would be great if you are working them and you know that you have disqualified people. I'd say this, and this is unfortunate, but it's a reality. A lot of the folks who have jumped on this program are the folks who had a subscription that ran for a while. And think about why you talked to them. That's where this program came from. They're ready to cancel because they hadn't done anything with this forever, right? And this was a re-engagement program, and that's the sad reality. But the beauty of our program now is it doesn't matter if you talk to them or not. It's going to tell you what's still there, and there's a reason that that property is still available from a year ago. Something happened. It's like looking at our aged expireds program. Why didn't you relist that property? Why didn't it sell? Those are great conversations to have. And our aged expired program talks about, dealing with those things when they've had a little time to mature, not the very day that it came off of MLS and 117 other realtors, jump on them like a pack of hyenas. It's 30 days out, and now they're looking at it, and it's like, hey, I noticed this. It's been a while here, and I'm just curious as to why didn't the property sell? There's a lot of good ways to get to that. Matt, go ahead, bud.
Some of the feedback too that I've had when we make the calls is like surviving spouses. They tend to take longer because the emotional distress of what happened. And then, I mean, we've literally had people say, I feel like the presence of, my husband, my wife in these areas, but it's like so depressing because they have all these memories and they're flooded with these memories, and then they're constantly in the spiral loop of depression. It's like they got to find a way to get out of there. And so sometimes they're just not ready. And I mean, 12 months goes by, that's a really long time. You go back and start calling those people. You don't have any agents calling them anymore. The house is still there. There's a lot of opportunity there, in my opinion.
Well, and we all are in that situation. We're all old enough now that unfortunately, in our lives, we've lost people. And, you think about the things that meant something to you about their physical presence and where they lived. And I think about that pretty often about my mom and dad, and where I grew up. I was blessed with, really wonderful parents, had a great childhood. And, those were happy times in my life. And it's like a lot of people don't want to get rid of the last remnant of this wonderful memory they had. That's a great point, Matt. There's an emotion sometimes that we don't even think about. And, go ahead, Steve.
So Matt's point, really prevalent. I can recall 25 years ago, my mother passed away. My father said, I'm not certain I want to stay in this house. It was his house. I said, Dad, give yourself 6 months to decide whether or not you want to stay or you want to go. But whatever you want to do, it's up to you. But give yourself that time. And ultimately, at the end of 6 months, he just like, yeah, I don't want to start all over again. I just, it's just where he was. He decided to stay. And I think in that point, early on, people are maybe not going to make those decisions because they may just be too emotional. And I agree completely with Matt said. I've talked to people, it's cyclical. There's a part of them that wants to go, but there's a part of them that wants to stay because they've got those memories. They have certain things, there's ties to it. And there may be other factors too. If they're relatively close to their children or their grandchildren, they're not ready to just pull up stakes and go someplace else. And it just depends. But I think this gets back to listening, making sure they understand that you are hearing them and to validate it. And I think your point about the hyenas, that's not the all the leads method. It's, hey, I'm listening to you. I'm trying to help you. If you have challenges that I can assist you with to solve a problem, I can do that. And just be patiently there. And who knows, 6 months, a year goes by, all of a sudden, I've had enough. I think it's time to go. Or it's the real estate is no longer in the too hard to do block, like Bruce said. Hey, it's time to, I've taken care of all these other things. Now it's time to go. Or I've also seen siblings going, hey, what's going on with the house? How come, where are you with that? And nobody's interested in living there, and they just need to get rid of it.
And Steve,
For
one of my original mentors used to say, people would ask, when should I make the call? Should I call them right away? Should I wait a few months? Should I wait? And it was always all of the above, because often there are people that establish relationships, and that's the way it should be. But often the person that gets the business is the first one they talk to after they've made the decision that they're ready to move. So they're not going to remember somebody they spoke to 9 months ago who hasn't really followed up. When they finally decide, okay, I'm ready, and they get a phone call or a letter the next day or week or short period of time, man, the odds go way up that you're going to be the one that gets that deal.
Well, and we always refer to that as right time, top of mind.
Yep.
And that's the whole point behind, we're full circle. That's the whole point behind 33 Touch. You want to be on the top of their mind as a valid solution when they want to sell or list. That's where you're looking for, what you're trying to get to. Sheila, unmute yourself there and let's hear you.
Okay,
Go ahead.
you had mentioned about contacting leads that are older. Well, last week I got in touch with a lead. Finally, it's from 2022. I had left messages and
Wow.
sent out information and emailed. Finally, he answered his phone. I was just kind of shocked. He lives up in Indiana, or it's one of those I states up north. And I'm in Florida. So he said, "Oh yeah, I'm coming down in November to interview realtors." And I said, "Well, why don't we do this instead of a Zoom call so you can at least, get some information from our broker?" And he was open to it. Talked to him yesterday. He already told my boss, "Paul, I'm not going to sign any other documents with any other realtors. I'm going to be down there mid-November, walk you through the house. I'm pretty sure I'm going to list with you." So you don't give up on people. You just keep on trying. Eventually they will pick up the phone.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, if they are going to sell, they're gonna need somebody to help them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom line. And if you keep that in mind and you have a program, that, has a long lead to it, a long reach to it, you're going to be that person. And in
Sheila,
particular, if you,
Go
in
ahead, Tim, I'm sorry.
particular, if you started that process all along, even though you may not have gotten a phone call back, you might have sent your series of letters out, nothing happened. You called, they didn't pick up the phone. You left messages, nothing happened. It dripped in there. It's there. It's why you see the same ad on television 100 times. You've seen it over and over and over again. It's why Budweiser continues to feed their Clydesdales. It's the same. It's the same
Right.
story. It's like you see a big horse, you think Budweiser beer, and they've done a great job of branding that in all of our ads, and it works. It's repetition, top of mind, right time. That's what you need to be. I mean, that's what everybody struggles to be. Jim, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm just curious, Sheila, over the last 3 years, how many times did you attempt to call them and how many times did you send out letters? When was your most, other than this call you just made, what was your most recent attempt before then? Were you just working old ones, or was this something you could just consistently worked right along?
Well, I had him in my old probate list. So, let's see, let me pull up the history on it. Oh, I've called him. He's at least 70 times. I just didn't give up, and that's what my boss said. He's every appointment he goes on, he says, "Well, the client said, Sheila, she's very persistent, but pleasantly so."
Jim, we need to rename that program 33 touch. It needs to be 70 touch.
Yeah,
There you go.
sometimes.
I want to hire
Because
Sheila right now
sometimes.
for the call service. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's it's crazy, and of course that's the whole thing. Oh, Steve, good job. You got your hat on now. That's good. Now you've joined the team. Awesome. Jody, where's your hat, buddy? I mean, come on, get with the game. Surely you have an old Browns hat or something. Um, hey, this is a good thing because refresh is important. I did get one question that I guess I need to answer, and somebody said, really specifically, how does it work? Well, it's real simple. We take all the leads that are in your CRM that you haven't disqualified, and that means you've not gone in and changed them to do not call, do not, you've dealt with them. That's somebody that you're not gonna, there's no property there, it's not an opportunity. We take them, then we run them through our processes of on the back end to proof them out, and we locate all of the properties that were owned by the decedent that were in there that are still that have not been listed or sold. And so we go and check and make sure that happened. And then what we give back to you is a refreshed list of just the properties and the people and the properties that are still available and still unchanged since the point of probate. So they're still available, whether they're, whether it's like Steve said, dad said he wanted to stay in the house and nothing's going to happen there for a while. Eventually it will, even to, Steve's dad, as time passes, people's circumstances change. But more importantly, you may find that someone has been thinking, wow, it's been a year since my husband or my wife died, and I really said I'd give myself a year and think this thing through. It's time to make a decision. That's when you got to be there. That's when you got to be there. We've got, you think about the timelines. We've got a series of letters that we do. One is a 6-month letter, one's a 12-month letter. Those are the kinds of things that are important. And we can help you create a marketing program to do all of those kinds of things. Jimmy?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it sounds like we're really pushing this hard. And one of the reasons is I can't think of any program that we've offered that has a better potential ROI than this. It's really cheap to refresh these leads. I mean, it's less than the cost of sending out one letter. And you may, the ones that are your top priorities, you probably, if they don't answer, you probably want to go ahead and send the letter also. But it's a very low cost, very high ROI endeavor, because it's easy to do, and your conversion rate, we believe, is going to be probably higher than any other lead source you work. So just wanted to say that again. If it seems like we're hard selling it, that's why, because we really believe in it.
Right. And Michael, I saw your comment there that, about moving on and, you wouldn't want to call somebody 70 times. You may not want to do that. The whole point here is to put something in place to have someone else do it for you at a very inexpensive price. And I think what we're trying to tell you is that there is definitely gold in seasoned listings. And that's really the important part of that. I wouldn't necessarily want to be doing that myself either. I want to try to, put in my hard time there with the, maybe my more current opportunities. But then I want to take people like Matt and use technology and some other stuff to, stuff that I don't have to go do, that's still putting my name out there, because at some point there's going to be a change. And gold in the old, as Matt said, it's important. It's a good program here, and we're not
And
trying to cram
it's
it.
not like I spend a lot of time making these calls. If they don't answer, I just move on. So
Sure.
it only takes like 30 seconds or well until 6 rings, and then it goes on to the next call. So
Right.
it doesn't take that long. But when once you got them to answer, then because that's the first time I spoke with him, and he agreed to set up a meeting immediately. So obviously he had been getting the messages or seeing that Team Vergadamo was calling, and decided to
It
pick
just,
up.
yeah, it just dawned on me that what we might want to do with this program is set it up on an automated basis, so that at the end of X period, for example, let's say at the end of a 6-month time frame, then automatically, if you're on this program, at the end of that time frame, it automatically takes everybody that you haven't disqualified, puts them together, and shoots them
Mhm.
over to Matt and his folks. And it's just another step in that touch, but it's automated, and we could do that. I'm gonna take that under advisement and talk to our code folks. Jody, if you'll make a note of that as well. I want to get with Becky, and she can tell me, how many years it'll take to get that coded.
Hey, Sheila, I'm curious, and you don't have to go back and look and count them, but out of the 70 calls, majority of them, did you leave voicemails?
No.
Okay, all right. So you just kept calling until he finally picked up. Law of averages. Okay.
Why does this person keep on calling me? I better find out what they want.
Yeah, my
Excellent.
only advice to that, if you're gonna make all those calls, every now and again, maybe leave a message.
Well, I mean, I didn't, there were several times I did leave a message, but
Sure.
the
Yeah,
majority of the time.
we've spoken before. I'm sure you know what you're doing. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's kind of, if you'd made
So,
70 calls and you never left a message, uh,
so
I should work for you.
Yeah.
Billy, go ahead. Sorry, bud.
so I've been doing this for almost 10 years, I'm pretty sure, pretty close. And I mean, I have every year gotten either a spouse that didn't sell or someone who didn't pick up the phone, or, in California, I'm really big on when they say they're going to rent it to keep contacting them, because at some point, California's going to make it really painful for you to be a landlord. And that's been at least one deal a year. And normally it's a $2 million deal. So I call them all. I mean, I call them all. And it always pays off sooner or later. And then the other thing is, if you have the email just set up in your CRM, either market reports, which is you can use Home IQ or I Like HomeBot, or send them automated Christmas cards, or send them, my highest response is sending out 3 turkey recipes. That's the highest click through I have during Thanksgiving. So,
That's part of what we're doing next week. That's literally very, very timely. Sounds like we rehearsed this, but I mean, that's part of what we're talking about, trying to get some automation around the holiday season. You've got 4 opportunities for a touch right there. And because you could send out something for Halloween, you could send out something for Thanksgiving, you could send something around Christmas, and then something for New Year's. And you can bet that if that's going out, people are going to know who you are. They're going to see it.
and a lot of people make a decision about moving or selling, or it's time to get this done somewhere between October and December. So that's where you really want to be in front of them.
particularly in a probate circumstance, because the people who need to make those decisions tend to be together at the holidays. So now they got the whole family around the table, and they say, "Look, what are we going to do with mom or dad's house? We got to trying to make a decision here." If you're not in that conversation, they'll make the decision, and whoever is doing it is going to go find somebody to help them. And if you're not top of mind at that point, you're out. You're done.
And that's where mailing a CMA comes in, because they have a tendency to hold those things onto those things.
Yep. Very, very good point. Folks, we didn't start off the normal way we do, which is to remind you that we'd like to hear from you, and we definitely do want to hear from you. Please click on React and raise your hand. Let's hear about what you're doing. What are you doing to continue to market? How are you, how do you continue to do? What does your contact program look like? Let us know. Let's talk about that. Let's hear your ideas. Love to hear it. We love to hear some innovative ideas from you. So just click on the little heart down there at the bottom and click on raise hand. And just like you'll see on my screen, little hand will come up, and we'll know to hear your voice.
And we're always looking for a win of the week also. I won't pick on anybody, but I see you guy on the screen. I always give a hard time. He always has a win of the week.
Yeah.
If he's got, well, there we got one maybe, or something else. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Hi, can you guys
Hi
hear
there.
me?
We can
Hi.
hear you. Yep.
I just wanted to say congratulations to Sheila real quick, and wow, the inspiration is just much appreciated. So thank you. Keep going. All right, that's it. And thank you everybody else too. I just want to listen.
That's very nice of you to say. Thank you. What a wonderful thing to do. That's a lovely thing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Kelly, what's up? Oop, where'd you go, Kelly?
Uh-oh, there I am.
Yep. All righty.
I'm evaluating this system, and only because I have established a system this year that is working tremendously well that supplements this. What I am doing is once a quarter, the middle month of each quarter, 4 times a year, I do a probate seminar. Now, with that, I have 5 business people that have relationships in this whole process. I've got a banker, I've got a probate attorney, I've got a moving company, home health, and a funeral home. And 4 times a year, I do probate seminars and have them make them RSVP so I have enough seats. February, I had 25. May, I had 37. August, I had 62. And I'm getting ready to start promoting the last one for November 13th. And so talking to each one of them when they register, and also inviting their adult children, because I want the adult children to see who I am. So when that happens to mom and dad, they're calling me. But to also, I get a lot of questions about probate versus doing a trust, that type of questions, and that starts that conversation. So I'm getting them on the front end before the other happens.
Kelly, how are you marketing this? How are you marketing the seminar?
Holy cow, just a lot of hard work, a lot of videos on social media. I also go and talk with 2 of the local TV stations. I have interviews on the 2 TV stations for free. And then I also had 2 radio stations that did it, and then just constantly promoting it with videos and flyers. I'll mix up, or I'll put both of them on a Facebook post. I'll do the video and the flyer. I've already got the flyer with the RSVP on my website. So people can go to my website and RSVP and register for it. And I had 7 that I couldn't get in August that are forwarding to November. So I've already got 10 people, and I haven't even really started promoting it yet for November. But I've reserved a room for up to 100.
That's awesome. That's extremely, extremely brilliant. That's a great program, and the fact that you're making it work is good for you. Out of that, what kind of what kind of conversion rate are you getting from the people who attend?
I just started this year, February. And so I've talked to a couple, but actually, while I've been on the Zoom call, I had talked with a lady, went walking with her in the park. She had put her husband in a assisted living, and she knows he's not coming home just last week. And she told me last week, oh, I got to get taxes done. I'm going to wait. She texted me while I've been watching this and said, can you come by the house and do a walkthrough tomorrow? I said, absolutely.
We're
So it's
responsible for
slow.
that. We made her do that. That's ours. That was us.
That would be good. I mean, it's a slow process. I know they're not going to convert
Sure.
today, but I want them to have the tools and the things that going to have my name on it when something does happen to mom and dad, or if something happens to mom and dad needs to move, or vice versa. And I want to be their point of contact when something in life happens, because it's a matter of when, not if.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you would, again, a couple of people I think want to be listening closer. Jim, I'll get to you in a second. Who again do you have as your cohorts in this program?
On the panel, and I get the bank
Right.
to pay for some light refreshments afterwards. I have a banker that they deal with, how to have accounts worded, so payable on death, that type of thing, so people are ready. I have the funeral home director, which basically he does some free services, and you might check with your local funeral home to see what free services they offer without the prepaid services, but he also goes into that too. I have
Right.
a probate attorney that deals with probate and trust all day long, every day. And then I have home health, and then I have a moving company, because they can move stuff today while they're alive and send it to Susie in Georgia or Florida, wherever they are. And then, of course, they can disperse all furniture and goods in the contents of the house afterwards too. So it's a panel of 5.
That's great. And are you getting, well, like you said, are they helping defer any of your cost in marketing, the people that are working with you?
I mean, really, my cost is just the bank's covering some refreshments, and I usually do, like bag chips and maybe a chicken fingers and some bottled waters and Cokes, and that's it. I meet at the public library. I was meeting at my office, and after the May one, I outgrew that space. And so I had to go to the public library, and they've got 3 meeting rooms. And in August, I reserved 2 of them. And then the next day after, I said, I want all 3. I want all 3 for November.
Wow, that's
So,
great. Where are you located, Kelly?
in Bowling Green, Kentucky,
Ah,
home of the
I
Corvette.
also home of the Hilltoppers. I went
Yes.
to school there. I went to
Yes,
Western.
me too.
That's great. Yeah.
So that's a great thing. And I just think it melds great with what this program does, except I'm getting them when they're older and transitioning. And one of my main questions as a realtor, I'm asking them, has your house outgrown you? Because maybe and I've had that conversation with one of them. It's how many times do you go up those 14 steps? If you're not going up them anymore, we need to right size down to something that's more accommodating for you until that happens. Not if, until.
Right. Right. Well, that's great. That's great. That's a wonderful idea. And I see several people are quite interested in what you had to say there. So we'll look forward to hearing more from you about that and working with you. That's
Thank you.
awesome. Thank you very
Thanks.
much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Jim,
Thanks.
you were gonna say something, bud.
Yeah, the idea that came to me right away, it sounds like you're already doing. As soon as you started talking, it's very smart to make it a two-pronged approach. If you're in probate, here's how all these people can help you. But make it hey, avoid the costly and time-consuming process of probate by being proactive and inviting the kids along to do that. That's just brilliant. So what I was going to suggest, you're already doing. Good job.
Yeah, that's great. Really good idea. And that's why we love doing these calls. People come up with really good ideas. We've talked before about putting together your wheel of probate. And that's one of the things that we always discuss, which is to get your team together. And, you've taken that and taken it a step further and saying not only that, but, come to this seminar and there's business for you here as well. And we all look better doing it together and yada, yada, yada. The other point that you made, which I think is really good, is that it's almost always the case that there are public spaces in libraries, a great place to go do it, that you can reserve and go do that. Doesn't cost anything to do it. It's the public's paying for it. And that's why they have meeting spaces in libraries. Every library in our county here has public rooms and you reserve them. So
You know, it's
absolutely
interesting.
great idea.
It's interesting too. We talked about refresh being a high conversion. This is all something you could do online, but I suspect the conversion rate of people that actually show up, take the time, is going to be so much higher than somebody who just shows up for a free online.
Oh, sure.
So that's great.
Well, the other brilliant part about this is that she's also, Dave, get to you in just a second. She's also um, done something that makes sure that her partners that she's working with are continuing to be involved with these people. And at the time they need to sell, where are they going to send them? Well, they're going to send them to her. So you've got the funeral director, you've got the attorney that's doing it, all the other people that are there. And you could also, depending on your relationships in your market, it could be the clean out crew that's there. It could be an estate sale company that's there and talks about what's available in terms of selling things. Even if you're not, it's not a transition, there's stuff people need to sell. So there's lots of great opportunity to get that done. David, what's up, bud?
I had a great win, I believe. And this is the last one I have, so I hope I get
Oh,
another
sure.
next phone
Keep them
call.
coming.
Sure,
But,
sure. You just wrote this one up.
yeah. So about a year and a half ago or so, I spoke with a gentleman about one of his properties that he had in probate. And I checked it out and I thought, oh, this property is it's beautiful. And I thought this would be a great property for one of my personal plans, which was to build a house with my boys from the ground up before my son graduated high school. And I thought, oh, this is an amazing property. And I told him, he says, I'm not out of probate yet. I don't have the letters. And I said, well, I tell you what, I know this is a real far-reaching thing, but I just threw it out there. I said, this is what I could pay for it. This is what the terms would need to be. And if you're ever interested, give me a call back. Now, since then, I spoke to him 3 or 4 times, and he was still going through the probate process. And he called me about a month ago, and he said, "Are you still interested?" I said, "Yeah." And I repeated the terms, and he goes, "It's yours." I said, "Great." So we just closed escrow on that property. And I took my family over there and we're submitting our permits to build a house on the property. And so we're just super excited about that. And it's a very unique opportunity. And it was a win-win. He loved my vision of wanting to build a house with my kids. And so he just gave me just a wonderful deal on the property. And we're just thrilled.
How much space is it?
It's a 1 acre with old growth palm trees lining the driveway. It has a gated entry. It has a rock wall that goes around the entire thing. The lot actually his family's house that was on there before burned down, and that's why he's selling it. And one of the reasons doesn't want to embark on that project, but the amount of development on this land is it's so much. It's like more than I could even sell the property for. That's how much development went into this. So it's just a really unique piece of property, and
That's cool, man. That's
yeah,
awesome.
we're thrilled.
How old are your sons?
14 and 11.
Wow. What a great opportunity for you to do that with your kids.
Yeah, it's
That's
great.
awesome, bud.
Yeah,
That's a win for your heart. If nothing else, that's a great win for your heart.
yeah. And it's a probate. So I mean, yeah, very grateful for that opportunity.
Well, that's a good one. I really like that. That's awesome, buddy.
Thank you.
Super duper.
Thank
Folks,
you.
we've got another 3 minutes until the top of the hour, and we've done pretty well of getting you guys in and out in an hour. We appreciate the time that you take out of your schedule every month and every week, and so we want to try to make sure we're attentive to that. I'm going to take one more ride around the barn here. If anybody has anything, please raise your hand if you want to say anything. If not, we're going to call it a day, and we'll see you back here next week, and we're going to talk about an automated holiday marketing program. Nicole, you raised your hand. Go ahead. You get the last word. What's up?
I was just trying to connect with the young lady that was speaking about probate as to what she does. I wanted to see if I could connect with her because I know this Zoom is about to be over in about 2 minutes. Is there any way to get in contact? I put my information in the
I see that. I'm going to let her know. Hey, if you'll look at that, Kelly, in the chat, she's put her contact info up there.
I see it. She said,
at Bling. You're all good now? Okay,
thanks
great.
so much.
You bet. Glad we could do that. And with that, that was the last word. Mr. Jim, do your thing, buddy.
All right, another great call. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. I want to congratulate David as the winner of the week. David, I think you got as many wins of the week as Walt Disney has Academy Awards. I think you definitely have the all-time most wins of the week for our company, and we appreciate it, man. You always got a good story to share, and I know you're embracing refresh. You're already working on that, so good job with that. Also want to thank everybody who actively participated: Matt, Steve, Bruce, Sheila, Bill, Melissa, Kelly, again, David, and Nicole. And I want to challenge each of you: take one idea that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share the results with the group. Have a great week, everybody. See you same time next Thursday. Take care.